So hello everyone, my name's Jemiah Douglin. I'm the founder of a grassroots esports company called Mavreel. We're UK based, and I'm going to be speaking to you shortly today on why you should be interested in esports. So um, first of all, I'll start off with what is esports. So esports, the E in esports stands for electronic sports, and essentially, in the simplest terms, it's organized competitive gaming. Um, there's really two tiers of that. You have the professional side where people win in massive prize money. Some of you may have seen the 16-year-old who won like £3 million at the Fortnite World Cup and so on. And then you have the amateurs, the unprofessionals who are aspiring to be professionals. And obviously, just like any sports, you have the pros and the non-pros. Um, why should it matter to you? So whether you are a business looking to promote and reach a certain demographic, more than likely your business is going to be relatable to the audience because esports' audience is massive. It has 2.4 billion gamers around the world. And so here in the UK, it's about 36.6 million. So that's like 1 in 2 people. So for most of you, there's going to apply for a lot of your demographic in terms of who you're trying to target with your offering. And often people think it's just men, but actually with the gaming, it's almost 50-50 split here in the UK of what gamers look like. And so there's plenty of reasons why you should be involved. I'm just going to run through a few things. So the questions we typically get, I'm going to cover a few different facets. I'm more interested in going to like Q&A as opposed to me kind of rambling on. But I think that's where the value is in the Q&A. So essentially, what you've got, there's a big secret in live sports world, which people don't really talk about, even amongst the biggest sports in the world, is that they're actually worried about how to attract the next generation of fans. So if you're a football club or you're a basketball team or whatever else, you know that your next generation of fans are going to be the people that become your fans and support your organization. But if you don't have any next generation of fans, you're kind of concerned, which is why you'll see a lot of the biggest organizations in the world, both sporting and unsporting, turn into esports to attract that next generation of fans because you have so many young people that are into esports. You got to like 73% of all people in esports currently like under 35. So there's a lot of people who are going to be next generation to come get your fans. And even the biggest sport in the world, football, they're thinking about how do we get the next generation fans, which is why you may see things like the FIFA World Cup, the EPL, which you might see in the Premier League, biggest league obviously in England, one of the most popular in the world. They've obviously done the EPL tournament, and so there's obviously a lot of things going on to try and attract the next generation and to really engage with the current audience. What you'll see, obviously, even in this now through our pandemic, for a lot of people they're having to adjust, but for the gamers, they're in their world anyway. Most gamers, they're going to be playing online. The tournaments typically take place, most of them online, but obviously the biggest ones take place usually at a stadium or a venue offline in real world. But obviously adapting to online hasn't been an issue because the majority of people spend their lives when they're gaming online, playing with their friends, whether socially or professionally, entering tournaments and so forth. One part of gaming which rarely ever gets spoken about is actually the educational aspect of it. More than just entertainment, there's actually been a lot of studies where, for example, where Minecraft has proven to help children with like ADHD, which is people wouldn't ever think, right, how does gaming help education? But there's actually a lot of psychological benefits, which obviously help people like their problem solving skills, their communication, because obviously they're always communicating with people and friends, obviously problem solving because by the very nature of the mission, you're having to complete an issue. And obviously even there are things such as perseverance, you fail, you get back up. And like I said, games such as Minecraft has been proven to be an outlet for people with autism and ADHD. And it helps people, there's been studies that show that it helps, states how gaming helps people overcome the setback or failure. Because obviously you might die or you fail the mission, you go again. And failure is only a setback and not a disaster. And that's how the game helps try and train the mindset. Because obviously, even now when real life things happen, such as the pandemic, and it's a setback, but for most, it's not the end of everything. You know, even for some people going through some really trying circumstances, um, both in professional life, I'm talking about it, not personal things. Professional life, it's still a setback, but you can still go again because we have to go again, sort of thing. So, you know, here in the UK, there was a national survey which basically said 78% of teachers um, agreed that digital games improved low performing students' mastery of curricular content like maths and language. So 78% of teachers agreed that maths and language was improved due to gaming. And over 80% of gamers here in the UK say that competitions in esports has increased their interest in participating in other team sports, which is crazy because then you get some people that, oh yeah, but what if my child's inside playing Fortnite all day, they're playing Minecraft all day and FIFA? And there is actually studies showing that children who say if you play FIFA all day, it's actually given their interest in actual football. It's given them more joy. So people actually started playing football in real life because of games like FIFA, and that's actually happened. And another thing that people don't often sometimes think about is that with professional athletes, the esports players, the pro athletes, that they're classed as athletes, unless some people are like, what, gamer? They actually train like traditional athletes. So they have gym, they have proper workout routines, they have nutritionists, they have all the other things like rest, recovery, and repair. All these kind of regimes that traditional athletes, such as a footballer or a basketball player or so on, would have. All the professionals actually have to have a high, tense, athletic regime, which is pretty cool. Um, one of our one of my thoughts on esports is that where there's opportunity is actually within the female market. As I said before, especially here in the UK, it's about 40, it's almost 50-50. So it's like 43% are UK gamers, are ladies. And there's a massive opportunity in terms of engaging that audience because typically representation matters. I call it the Black Panther effect. For a lot of us here, I don't know whether any of you are Marvel fans or you saw the movie Black Panther. You've seen there's numerous fans that have been like, oh yeah, it wasn't that great or it was amazing, whatever else. But one of the reasons why the popularity of the movie, apart from I thought it's a great movie, is because of the cast. It's a predominantly black cast, and obviously that got a lot of hype and furore and stuff from the media. And so obviously it was one of Marvel's highest grossing movies. And that was because of representation. So people who aren't traditional cinema goers or Marvel fans went to see it. And I see the same thing for females in esports, where with more female representation at presentation level, like whether they're going to be what we call a shoutcaster. Shoutcaster is essentially a presenter. Whether they're being the actual pro player, whether they're going to be the coach of the team, because there's different roles within the team. So like if they feel like they're the Pep Guardiola of the gaming world, they can manage a team and they can coach a team. And then you've got the analyst and so on. And we feel the same thing where there's a lot of opportunities, whether you're looking to host and run your own esports event or partner with someone to run an esports event, such as like led by women and Shin, really making it inviting and an comfortable environment for the ladies to come through and get involved and not feel like they're going to be ostracized or neglected anyway. So that's something that there's a massive opportunity in. So that's going to be pretty cool. And what you see is that the market is so saturated. So you've got the biggest brands in the world that are involved in the esports things. You've got companies such as BMW who've just signed a massive deal with one of the biggest esports teams in the world called Fnatic. Got McDonald's, you've got Coca-Cola, all these household names that you can think, Nike, other people just all involved in esports in some way. And so there's numerous ways where you could do it, get involved, whether you want to sponsor a team, that's an option. If you want to sponsor up and coming streamer, someone who streams their gameplay on such stuff such as Twitch or YouTube, you could sponsor them. You could even, if you're really looking to delve into it, you can actually host and create your own esports team who enters competitions on your behalf, which is a very cool option. You can, obviously now we're inside the pandemic, there's a lot of online tournaments running. So if you were to find a popular online tournament or company that runs them, you can actually work with them on hosting your own kind of event and attracting people to you and running all sorts of competitions and esports stuff online and giveaways and fun stuff. And there's just really lots of cool little different initiatives you can do. And like I said, there's physical and mental benefits to it as well. And it's not all doom and gloom, which sometimes gets portrayed. There's a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of people meet a lot of, fun, different people, and there's a lot of different avenues that can be done. And yeah, it's definitely something to be thinking about. And I feel, especially now with this pandemic, as soon as people can go back to normal, people are going to want to run out and do things and be social. And that's the great thing about gaming. It actually brings people together. We run esports events here ourselves at Mavreel, and there's not many things that bring Black, white, and Asian people all together so seamlessly. Children of special, SEN, special educational needs, children with disabilities, just all diverse, both male and female, different ages, just boom, seamlessly like that. And that's what gaming can do, because there's no barrier to entry in that same sense. It's a lot lower. A lot of people can afford to get on the game. Fortnite, for example, as most of you would have heard, even if you're not into gaming, one of the most popular games in the world, that's free to play, which is what I meant about the barrier to entry is not there. You can just jump online and start playing with your friends, and it's a great option. So definitely something to think about. And when people want to get back out and do more things, they'll want to do it now. And right now, even if you're looking to do stuff online and be part of it, there's amazing opportunities to get involved and do things online. So yeah, Michael, if you're on here, I'd like to, I don't know if anyone has any questions that they want to ask. Okay, not so far, so I can continue some stuff. So yeah, if you're looking at the most popular games right now in the world, if you think about which kind of games you can get involved in, what that would mean for your brand, and so on. The most popular games right now in the world are Minecraft, which is very child friendly. So if you're worried about your brand perception or thinking of audience, if you're looking for a younger audience, very young, if you're targeting a product or service at that, games such as Minecraft would be great. If you're targeting more of a mass appeal from young children up to people in their 30s, 40s, and so forth, a game like Fortnite, because of its sheer mass appeal. If you're looking for a slightly older, more serious demographic, you have games such as like Call of Duty, which is most super important, popular right now. Overwatch, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Dota 2. There's a lot of different games out there, and that's the great thing. It's not like there is no one size fits all. Depending on who you're trying to target and what kind of audience you want, is based on the game you want. If you want something like FIFA is another great one as well. If you're looking for mass appeal, you can get young and it's friendly. You don't have to worry about brands or particularly violence in the games. It's just a friendly pick up and play game. Football, obviously, the most popular sport in the world, so it has that synergy that ties in. If you're thinking of how would I partner with a potential organization who is involved in esports, depending on which level and tier you want to go. If you wanted to go right at the top into professional, where the players are getting those big 6-7 figure winning pools, you would have to think about which obviously region of the world you look at live in, and think about which teams are really winning that in that space. So, for example, in the UK here, Fnatic, they are probably the most popular and one of the biggest in the world. They would be the team that you'd reach out to and see how you could work, and obviously think about your value proposition for them. What could you do for them too, which is worthwhile to them, whether that's money, extra exposure, and so on. What is the one thing? Oh, got a question. What's the one thing about gaming that I'm most misunderstood? Fantastic question. I would say I would think from the professional side is that people think that it's a waste of time in terms of it's not so serious or you're not so athletic. You just kind of sit there all day, which is why I made that point of saying that the gamers, they train like traditional athletes. They have to do weights, they have to do running drills, sprints, stuff to keep their attention span going, and reflexes and reaction speeds and nutritionist. That's a massive one. I would also say from a more casual everyday perspective, often there's a lot of scaremongering of obviously children playing their games, almost that they'll be kind of a social recluse, almost like, kind of like Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory. They'll be a bit awkward, a bit stiff. And I feel like gamers are very wide and diverse in who they are and what they look like and their personality types. And that there's actually like I said, some of the stuff earlier, like ADHD and autism and other things, there's a lot of benefits actually to gaming, which are proven scientifically and psychologically. So I feel like those are the biggest misconceptions. Fantastic question, though. Well, thank you for that. And I'd actually add to that as well on your question. I would also say there's a misconception of talent required as well. The thing is, we wouldn't necessarily. So we know, for example, no one just says I'm going to walk into the NBA because everyone knows they're not LeBron James. Because they know there's a talent that you need naturally, and then you have to work extremely hard and consistently, be fortunate injuries and so on to get there. So we respect the talent in other areas. In gaming, there necessarily isn't the same thought on it. So for the person, for example, the child, 16-year-old boy who won the £3 million on Fortnite at the World Cup, people wouldn't necessarily think there's a talent and a skill level really, really required. They kind of would think, yeah, he must have been pretty good to win it, but they wouldn't appreciate the talent needed for the gaming. And then obviously the dedication to keep practicing and refining and so on, almost his training in addition to what traditional sports. So I'd say that's another thing as well that's kind of misunderstood. Thank you for the question. Do you have any more questions? Another one come up? So on that, I'm going to run through from the investment strategy. Oh, okay, cool. So there's a few ways from the investment perspective. The question was from the investment perspective, if you think gamers will keep going, where would you invest now? Okay, cool. So there's a few different levels here to that. You could either invest, depending on how much your size your investment is, you've got bigger esports teams that you can invest in, say people like, Cloud9, Fnatic, and so on. So you'd invest in like an actual esports organization who's doing big things already. That's one place. If you're looking for the kind of up and coming things, this is more of if you're having a smaller level of investment, because those organizations, some of them have like 7-figure rounds, like proper Series A and Series B and so forth rounds. If you're looking, so I'd say an esports team that's currently hot right now, someone like Fnatic and Cloud9 and these other big clubs that are growing, an up and coming one who's going to try and rival the Fnatics in the world. So they're kind of the lower league ones kind of coming up, and they're trying to assemble their own team of Avengers, if you will, their own star gamers. They're going to try and challenge the bigger teams like Fnatic. That would be good. There's also certain streaming companies who are doing more online stuff, which could be a potential good space. Companies such as Battlefy and Tournament. It's spelled like the tournament isn't spelled in a traditional way. It's like TOO, then it's spelled normal RNAMENT. They allow people to host esports competitions online, and they're growing all the time, especially Battlefy. And Battlefy are used by some of the biggest brands in the world, such as Man City and West Ham and Coca-Cola and so forth. If you look into, I like to think Google's a bit different. Doesn't say Google one, but because obviously what Google are trying to do, Google Stadia, but I don't know how they've kind of structured that in terms of if they put it under if they made that a separate entity or not. But Google Stadia, essentially, for those who don't know, it's going to essentially be like Netflix for gaming. So they're trying to do like cloud streaming for games. One of the massive issues, obviously, with gaming compared to say like movies and so on, is that it's a dynamic media as opposed to the static media. But that in the future, I don't know, again, the structure, if that's a separate entity, that could potentially be one to manage. Obviously, Google's still got to iron out the latency on it, the bugs. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Google because of their tech resources and power. I would also, if you're going to look, you could potentially look at investing in forming your own esports team. So that would require seeking out some skilled talent from around the world or wherever you want to do it, whether you want to do it global or just locally and regionally. And then you can invest in a team, give them the facilities and the structure to like get their skills up. and then you can enter them into tournaments so they can try and win these big cash prizes, such as the Fortnite one and the bigger ones at Dota 2 and stuff like that. You would also, so I would say that those kind of places there, options, got quite a few options. And there's also the option to start, if you wanted to start doing your own competitive tournaments, that would be really good as well. Another place to invest, esports startups. And more importantly, last thing actually, just remind me, is actually the IP. So I always think that whoever has the IP has the leverage, which is why Disney Plus is going to be so popular, because they have some of the best entertainment franchises in the world, with Star Wars and Marvel, all the other stuff. They have the IP, which is why some of the other streaming companies will be a bit under pressure because they don't have as strong IP as Disney does. So if you're actually looking at some of the gaming companies, the studios who actually make these games that everyone loves, like Epic, Fortnite, and so forth, you could eventually, depend on the series of investment, even invest in some of the bigger ones if you're looking at that kind of money, or you can look for the next kind of games when they come up, which won't be as expensive to get into, but if they become the next Fortnite or Call of Duty or FIFA, it's going to be amazing return on investment. And they're always popping up. And that's the great thing about the gaming world, is that there's always new IP coming out, there's new games coming out, especially the big AAA, the popular games. They're coming out every 6 months, and there's always these cool studios all around the world that are trying to find the next big thing. So trying to find the next studio to make the next Fortnite or Call of Duty or FIFA will be a very big deal to potentially invest in. So yeah, thank you for your questions, everyone. Any more questions? What's the best resource website to get most? Oh, good question. What's the best resource website to get the most up-to-date gaming? Okay, the best resource, I would say there's a few actually. You've got channels such as IGN. IGN's really good. It's one of the legacy ones. They've got a lot of credibility with an organization. You've got Games Radar, which is another great source. They keep you up to date with all the gaming news. And you've got GameSpot as well, which is really cool. They give you all the reviews and the news and everything else that are coming out. And then even such as the Verge also are great as well, for their news reviews and gaming. So they're really good. They'll keep you up to date with and GameSpot. So GameSpot, IGN, Games Radar, The Verge are really good to obviously give you reviews and give you news. And they'll kind of keep you up to date with who's becoming professional, who's signing up, what kind of is going on in the whole world of gaming and esports. Because esports is just one very small segment of the whole gaming world. So yeah, those websites would be really good. And Mavreel as well, because we do a podcast, so we keep it up to date. If you ever want to know, just come and see what's going on. We're here. Just a little plug there. Just say hey. We always do we have a podcast and we update of what's going on. We give our spin and we document the journey of us ourselves trying to do deals with organizations way bigger than us, such as TikTok, and so on. And for those of you that TikTok, you've probably heard of it. If you're not on it, you're probably your son or your daughter or someone you know is on it. And over 1.5 billion downloads. And we kind of document that whole journey of trying to, work with them and bringing them into esports and expanding their esports line. Because I don't think there's not really a top company out there in the world who's not trying to actually think about their esports strategy. And there's something that if they're not in it deep, knees deep already, they are trying to jump into it at some point. Like what BMW has just done. Just want to notice up because they just signed. Just literally earlier, a couple of weeks back, they signed. BMW signed a deal with Fnatic to be their lead primary sponsor. But BMW are one of the companies that already were in esports for a number of years now, but they've just deepened their foothold strength even more so. And you wouldn't necessarily put BMW and gaming together, but they're obviously thinking, for now, the future, because they also know not only the next up and coming youngsters, they're going to become drivers at some point one day, but also there's a lot of people who are within the age range who play games now, who could afford a BMW, which is part of the offering. So yeah, thank you for the question. Got any more questions? Oh, sorry. Got any more questions? Sorry. Oh, oh. Yeah, so definitely have a think. Think whether you want to go, low level grassroots, whether you want to go high level, like professionals, um, whether you want to work directly with an organization, whether like an esports organization, someone who holds events or does live streaming of the event, such as Battlefy, or someone who holds them grassroots level, or someone who holds them at bigger international level. Have a little think about whether you would potentially want to sign your own stars. If you could start a little hunt or competition or contest to find the best talent in your area, you could then go on and represent and become your own team. Have a little think on whether you would like to invest in the IP holders, whether the bigger companies, the EAs, the Ubisoft, the PlayStations, the Epic Games, the Activisions and of the world, or whether you'd like to find that next studio out there which who's about to who you're betting on to produce that next global phenomenon such as Fortnite. You could also look at streamers as well. Streamers are a bit different to esports players. Streamers are the ones who they're not necessarily esports professionals who compete. They can just be entertainers or who are highly skilled at the game still, or they can just be entertaining. So they may stream on platforms such as Twitch or Mixer or YouTube, and it would essentially be like you say, all of you watching me play, I don't know, Street Fighter at home or Gran Turismo or Need for Speed, and you were entertained by me. You could look at potentially getting involved with a streamer who would help deepen your brand affiliation with the audience. The more popular streamers, some of you would have heard of Ninja, for example. So yeah, but that's it. That is me. So thank you all for listening. Hope you're great. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care, you and the family. Speak soon. Also at Mavreel, if you want any more information, Mavreel, we can help you. So thank you.